Hey, hello, welcome back again. Welcome to the studio. My name is Peter. This is Dev Suvara, and I wanted to have a chat about assembly. Not just about assembly language itself, but I wanted to have a chat about why I like it and what that might mean for people who are looking for something to do, projects to develop, and generally what it means in the industry to have certain skills and knowledge about certain things, and how I guess for me, assembly was a good sign that I was, doing the things that I enjoyed, and just by doing it, I would fall into I guess, the career that I am now, helping others explore this space. I actually started doing a little bit of assembly when I was about 15, 16, and I don't even know where I got it, but back in the 1990s, there was like this thing called VGA where you had like this special video mode, and because I was fascinated in making games, I wanted to know how can I access the video system, how can I draw pixels on the screen in the same way that these other video games do, and I kind of like found out how to do ports and switch video modes and do all this kind of stuff, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. I can access the video memory, and then I found out how you can use low level port access to get mouse, get the mouse drawing a cursor on the screen, all this kind of like little things back in the day that were like, wow, I know how to do this now. But a lot of that stuff, in order to access the ports are essentially like communication channels that you had to set up communication with different peripherals. I think it was Intel machines at the time, and so I had like this little book on Intel processor ports and assembly and how to access the stuff there, like turning the different video modes on the VGA cards at the mouse. And it was like that little book was awesome, and I really enjoyed just plugging and playing around with like little assembly commands. And it was from that when I actually went into my first commercial piece of work, where the boss at this video games company said, "Can you make a Snakes game on a Game Boy?" It was all written in assembly, and so I was like, "Yeah, let's give it a go." And I didn't even know, like, I'd been working on Intel assembly at the time, 32. I think it was 32-bit. It was a 16-bit. Might have been 16-bit, 386. I'm not sure. I don't recall exactly, but when I went to the Game Boy, it was 8-bit, right? So you had 8-bit registers, and I kind of like did some, it was a RISC instruction set, so it was very reduced. It was very easy to do stuff. And I remember later on at uni, like maybe a few years after everything, I'd actually like stepped into a course on assembly at uni, and I was like, I know all this stuff. It was really easy. I knew what a stack was. I knew how to push the stack. How you had the call stack, you had the the call stack that came in, and then you had your instruction pointer and this kind of stuff. And it was all at the beginning of it all. It was all very intuitive, and that's what I found interesting. Is that because it felt intuitive, it just kind of made sense to me what it was and how it worked. I don't know. It could have been because I'd already kind of done software development, in my early teens, and so at the back of my mind, unconsciously, I kind of knew this stuff, but it seemed intuitive, right? Because I'd been doing it a lot. But it felt like it was easy and fun, and it was playing with it, and that's why I kept on doing it, because I found it fun, right? And I think a lot of people, when they get into software development, they might get into it because they think it's a cool job, or they might get money, or work at Google or work one of these companies like that. That was never the reason, I mean, why I got into any of this tech stuff. I got into it because I just, one, it was a challenge, a puzzle, like it was a puzzle to solve in many ways. Two, it was fun. Three, it kind of felt like a way to express creative expression, like in video games at the time. And it was fun playing with things. And so I didn't do it because I wanted a job. I just did it. I just wrote code and I built products, and it wasn't about the work or finding a job at the time, right? When you're in your early teens, it was about just building projects out of your own interest. And I guess I was fortunate because some of the first people I met in the industry, I kind of fell into working on various projects, and then I jumped from one company to the other, and now I've got like government clients that I'm building software for, and managing teams around the world. So kind of like, obviously, started with assembly in a way. Started with linked lists. That was the actual first thing I did, but it was just me and having fun. And I still find coding fun, and that's why I don't mind managing teams. I find that, more inspiring on a emotional level to have like a band of people that you're working with and working with and training up. It's a very different sense of satisfaction when you're working in a team and you're teaching young people to do things than it is to solving a puzzle. Very different. So I think it doesn't matter what it is, I guess, where you're working on stuff. If you've got that inquisitive mind and you just want to solve puzzles, you're going into something and you're getting lost in it and enjoying it. I think let go of any kind of perception that you want to find. You have to find a job or you're searching for a job. I mean, the first place I got a job at was a company. I rocked up and sat down and did my own work in their office. I'm like, I'm also coding. I'm also building stuff, but I'm around people that are also building stuff. And I was like, I was 17 at the time. It just felt like the right thing to do. It might be crazy thinking about it now, just some kid walking in off the street going, hey, I want to code video games too. It's like pretty funny. But they let me in. They were quite good. But yeah, I guess that's the takeaway that I want to make is like, whatever you're doing, just keep plugging away what it is that you have on the inside, on the, in creative expression. I mean, I've got so many ideas for YouTube videos, and I've actually got a script that I've got for another video that I've got to do on another channel, but it's more about time these days than anything else. Trying to arrange time in a way where because what happens is like you get to this point and you have a whole day and your mind can do so many things, but physically you really can only do you can only do a few things in a day. So it really is important to plan out a week. I mean, when you have a new kid like we have now, it kind of like throws things out, and so you got to kind of focus on things more in the moment. And if you've got plans, just kind of push them out a bit. But as long as you're in there having fun and solving puzzles, and being honest with yourself about how long things might take, and not being too hard on yourself when things don't go to plan or aren't done on time. I guess that kind of leads me. I want to finish off with one last point, and that's about estimation. It's like in the last few weeks, I've actually had people come up to me and say, how long will a certain piece of work take? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't have all the information. I need to investigate. And I said, like, it won't be less than a day, and it won't be more than a month. That was, I think, the first quote of time. And the other one was, well, it won't be less than a day, and it won't be more than 2 weeks based on the information I had at the time. And so I think it's important to say, hey, this is what it probably is around. So you don't lose your audience, you don't lose the person, but if someone's asking you to do something and asking you for a quote, you need time to kind of think about things and even look at code and look at examples and say, look, give me a half an hour. This is what I think it is now, but it could be less, could be more. Let's catch up back in another day, right? Don't try and give an answer. Don't try to get an answer, because people will hold you to it, and especially as an expert, you really have to be honest with people and just be straight up and say, I need more than the information that I have now to give you an accurate result of how long things will take. That's the way it is with everything, right? Usually do estimation, you do like planning phases and all that kind of stuff, but people want a quick answer on how long something will take. Yeah, so guys, look, thanks for tuning in. Here's to another video with Dev Savara. I will see you next week. Gotcha.